welcome to another episode of Coach and Coffee. This is a relaxing time. You get your coffee, you get to drink it, we get to talk a little bit about training for OCR and all the fun stuff that entails. So get your coffee, sit down, and relax. Take a minute to relax and enjoy the coffee. Some interesting things happened today. This is being filmed the day that Spartan just announced that they canceled their entire race season for the rest of the year. So that's kind of depressing, and I know that'll be more depressing to other people. I honestly was expecting this for a while now. I didn't think they'd hold any races after the initial shutdown. They held a few, I believe, but yeah, I was expecting this. Unfortunately, I thought it might go this direction, and it seems that everything is headed this direction now with sports, all sports in general. So that's kind of sad. Don't be too depressed. There are still ways. If you go back and watch the past 20, I think, Coach and Coffees, there are a lot of ways that you can make things fun. Head over to the triofitnessocr.com/blog page, or just go to our website and go to the blog tab if you don't want to type all that in. And we have a lot of articles in there with some different ideas on things you can be doing to keep yourself motivated, keep your goals in line. Races will be back again. I expect they'll be back next year. Don't know that for sure, but I expect they'll be back next year. And so you're going to want to be ready, and you don't want to miss this opportunity right now to continue working towards those goals. You don't want to fall off the wagon and have to get back on, because getting back on is far, far more difficult than staying on. On a positive note, my wife and I were driving back from the dog park today with Echo, and we saw a guy looking to hitchhike, and we passed him initially because I was like, oh, we don't have any room for him, and then my wife Kara was like, oh, we can just put Echo on my lap. So I was like, okay. So we turned around and went back, and turns out he is from Australia, and he came here to see the country during his holiday, and is now kind of stuck here for a month past what he was planning on being because of the virus. And yeah, crazy. He was in California, and then did bus tours across like all the national parks and across the country, and then in Boston somebody stole his like wallet and ID and everything, which he thankfully got worked out with like the with his passport and everything, got the embassy to work all that stuff out. But now he's just hitchhiking back across the country to California, and he's gonna fly out of LA back to Sydney, where he's from. Wild story, but we gave him a ride to the next stop where he was going to, where he wanted to be and wanted to hitch a ride. But it was very interesting, cool experience. He was a very nice guy, older guy, and he was just out there doing his thing. He didn't have nice things to say about his experience in America overall, though, so that was kind of depressing. But what can we do about that? He was a nice guy. It was a fun experience. Today we're talking about supplements. So I have here just some examples of supplements. So this is Vital Proteins. I am not promoting Vital Proteins with this video. With Trio, we don't promote any brand in particular. Individually, myself and Luke work with brands, but as a company, we are not currently working with any brands individually. So this is not a promotion for this. I'm just having this here as a display item. This is a whey protein. Vital Proteins' whole thing is collagen protein, which is they use it. It's good for your hair and nails and things like that. I don't really care about any of that particularly, about how my skin looks. But I do care about my joints and my ligaments and everything, and that's another aspect where collagen is very helpful. But on the topic of supplements, should you take them? Should you not take them? Why should you take them if you do take them? What are they good for? So there's a lot of ways this can go. And I need to start out by saying this because all of the supplements say this. if you're going to start taking something, you should consult with the doctor first. That's my saving my legal butt phrase. Beside that, the reasons you should take any supplement are because they are performance enhancing. And I'm not talking about illegal performance enhancing drugs, but for instance, coffee is a performance enhancing substance in that caffeine is a drug, and it enhances your performance depending on what you're doing, but it will give you a jolt of extra, we'll call it ambition, to move on with the next thing in your life. So caffeine, a lot of athletes in OCR will take different supplements that have caffeine before a race. I personally choose not to do that, and I have my reasons for that. We're not going into all that today. I think I've talked about that previously, but maybe that'll be a different episode. But with like the athletes who are taking that right before a race, they're taking it for the enhancement, for the extra boost it gives you. Totally within the rules, totally legal. Everyone has the same access to it. Everyone can do it if they so choose. I just choose not to. There's a cat, and Echo's got his ears up. But you know, that's different for different people. The reason you should choose a supplement, if you take a supplement, is because it adds benefit to your training. If it doesn't, it's a waste of money. And there are a lot of supplements out there that unfortunately probably are a waste of money. And there are a lot of people, or a lot of groups, a lot of professionals who have done studies on different supplements, and they are not all made equally. That's one thing to keep in mind. And a lot of times you're buying fluff, as it were, where it says it's got all these things, but sometimes you don't need all of those things, so you're paying for a bunch of things in a certain package or something that you don't need. If you are eating a really balanced diet with fruits and vegetables and grains and meats, I don't care what your stance on these things are, if you're eating a really balanced diet with all the different types of foods, nuts, whatever, then you probably don't need supplements. Now, need depends on goal to a certain extent, in that for my goals, I need more protein. I need more calories. None of the supplements I take right now are like calorically dense, but they are extra calories because I burn in, and my body just torches calories no matter how much I eat. Gosh darn it, I cannot do anything to gain any weight. So, you know, if your goal were to put on some extra weight, maybe you would buy like a weight gainer supplement for that, because it's just loaded with calories, and that's maybe the only way you can get enough calories in a day, by putting that in a shake and getting an extra 500 or 800 or 1,000 calories a day. Maybe you need that for your goal. Maybe that's a necessity. Maybe you're eating a diet where you're not sure if you're getting enough protein, or you know you're not getting enough protein, and so you take like a whey protein supplement or something like that. Maybe you are deficient in like certain vitamins. You've had those tested, or you've taken, there's different online resources, and they're not going to be 100% accurate, but they're still relevant. They'll give you a good clue on like what vitamins you may be deficient on after putting in essentially the vitamins that you eat on a regular basis. It's taunting him now. And so if you find out what those vitamins are, you could just eat the foods associated with those vitamins, or maybe you can't afford it, or maybe it's super inconvenient and you want something better and or more efficient, we'll call it. So you get a supplement that has those nutrients that you're missing, you know. So there's really good reasons to take supplements. I would highly recommend. So I think the two main places where people buy supplements, to my knowledge, from my experience, are GNC and bodybuilding.com. They have innumerable supplements, brands, types, everything from vegan to like bodybuilder, explosive, build 30 pounds of muscle in the next 30 weeks, whatever. I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. So there's a lot of stuff out there. Companies like to use really cool graphics to like enhance the things. One thing I personally like about Vital Proteins is that stuff that they put on their products it's not like sparkly and it's not flashy. It's to the point. This is what it is. This is what's in it. This is the flavor. These are like this is how to use it, etc., etc., etc. And I appreciate that because I don't like a bunch of bull. So it's important when you're looking for supplements to do your research. Like I said, they're not all created equally. Some have a bunch of crap ingredients, some have a bunch of really good ingredients. It really just depends. So with that in mind, do Google searches, and you are likely to find information on them. Like when Vital Proteins initially reached out to me, I do work with them. Again, not promoting them, they are just another company out there. I think they're a good one based on what I know of them and my experience with them and what I've read about their products. So when they first reached out to me about working together, I looked them up, and for all the information I could find, they were like a top 3 in their category as far as trusted not BS supplements. And so I was like, yeah, that's the type of brand I want to work with. So look up what you're after. Don't necessarily just take a person's word for it. If there's someone you really respect who's been using it for a while and thinks it's been beneficial, that's worth listening to. But there have been a lot of supplements that I tried when I initially got into working out years and years ago, before I knew anything about nutrition really, or supplements. When I was like 14, 13, where I started looking at supplements because I thought I needed them. I think that's how most people start out. They feel like they need a bunch of supplements and they go and buy a bunch of junk. I didn't have the money to buy junk, but and people would recommend all these different things to me, and they didn't necessarily help at all. At least that was my experience. So, just because your lifting friend at the gym says it works doesn't necessarily mean it is, doesn't necessarily mean it's good, doesn't necessarily mean the things in it are good. Always read the ingredients on there. And again, not promoting Vital Proteins, they are just an example because I have them here. The list of ingredients is on the back of each of these things, and the list of ingredients is like 4 or 5 ingredients long, sometimes shorter, sometimes a little longer depending on like what it is. But the point is, there's not a bunch of BS and like junk chemical stuff thrown in. So I'm at least satisfied in knowing that though it is a supplement, it is not filled with a bunch of trash that is either useless or may negatively affect me. As far as performance enhancing substances goes, within the competitive ranks of OCR, they are not legal. To paraphrase what the different companies say about it, it's your job to know the rules about what is and isn't legal. They put up the standards. I believe they just follow Olympic drug testing scandals or scandals. There are a lot of those though, but Olympic drug testing standards. And so it's your job to know what is and isn't acceptable if you're a competitive athlete in the sport of OCR. They do drug tests at big events, and almost none of the small events drug test, but I've always had I have always carried the belief that if I am not capable of doing something within the rules myself, then I don't deserve it. Like if I were to start taking performance enhancing drugs and I won a big race, I'm not saying that would happen, but if it did happen, I'd just be like, wow, I probably couldn't have done that on my own, and so I didn't deserve it. So that's something to look at or to consider, I'd say. That's my moral advice. If you are not able to do it on your own, you don't deserve it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just a reality. That being said, supplements can fill gaps of deficiency in your nutrition, in your life. You know, a lot of people work very busy hours and really long shifts, and they need something fast and easy to get the nutrients in and the proper nutrients in for the day, and so they have a supplement like a shake or something. So having that at work is a great alternative to packing a meal when you may not be able to have the meal, but you can have the shake. You have time for the shake, but maybe not the meal, or whatever. So in that regard, supplements can be extremely beneficial. So there's pros and cons. It can cost a ton of money for good supplements. The question you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Are you seeing the performance benefits that you wanted? And that's a tough question to answer a lot of times, because as you progress, as long as you're continuing to properly progress your training, you will continually make progress. And that'll be true whether you have the supplement or not. If you're doing things well, you will make progress. So if you start taking a supplement and 6 months from now you see progress, you may attribute it to the supplement, but it may be just the fact that you were consistent and stayed with the program and made progress that you were going to make even if you didn't have the supplement. So it's a difficult thing. I err on the side of, as long as the nutrients that I'm taking in are not harmful in a higher dosage, then I'll err on the side of taking a little bit more of it, because if there's no loss and only gain, then I'm going that route. But like certain nutrients you shouldn't take an extreme amount of, like caffeine, for instance. Not that caffeine's a nutrient, but just a very obvious example. If you take an extreme amount of caffeine, it can be really bad for you. Some people it leads to heart palpitations, some people it can lead to like more dramatic issues. So you don't want to be taking extra of something that's not good in high quantities, or that your body can't handle in quite high quantities. But as long as your body can handle it, like vitamin C for instance, you can take thousands of milligrams a day and you're never going to OD or have any real negative effects according to all the research. Do not jump on me. If something new came out, don't jump on me about it. But generally speaking, you can't really OD on vitamin C. So, you take a bunch of it, maybe you take a little extra, and then, yeah, you're good. Because you definitely got enough, and a little bit more didn't hurt you. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a certified nutritionist. I'm just stating general realities of these things. So if you want to hate, it's a stupid term. It's not hate. If you want to argue with me, go right ahead. That's fine. This is how we view things at Trio Fitness OCR. If you ask us about nutrition as a client or as someone inquiring about working with us, these are the types of things we're going to tell you as far as supplements go. So they have their place. Not all supplements are created equal. They can be extremely expensive depending on what brand you're getting. The better the brand, let's say the higher quality brands are going to cost more money, and rightfully so, because the trash is cheap and the good stuff is not. And it pays to pay for quality. I think that about sums up. This is a really long video, but a lot of important things about supplements. Don't get caught up in the hype around a supplement. Do your research. Try and find other people, professionals who have done research on that supplement, and make smart decisions. Fill gaps where gaps are, not where you're just randomly taking things and spending money. When I say supplements are expensive, I mean, I know people, and I've heard of people, like I went into GNC one time and was talking to the cashier. I think I was buying FitAid there because they almost nowhere around us sells it, and it's so annoying. And then GNC stopped selling it. But I was talking to the cashier, and he was telling me about his buddy who just took up lifting and was going to be like wanted to be a power lifter or something competitively, and he went in and bought like $200 worth of supplements just to start. And it's like, does he need that? Probably not. Did he probably waste like $100 right then buying 6 and 7 different supplements? Probably. So, you know, save yourself some money, do your research. It's only going to take a little bit of time, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, and you'll come to some good conclusions, you'll get some good stuff, and you'll save a bunch of money. And hopefully you'll be healthier and a better athlete for it. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time on Coach and Coffee.